There's a storyline that I find fascinating that I've not been able to delve into, and I think it's pronounced Palantir. I think I have that right. And there's some contingency of people that are at least floating the theory that while we all thought Donald Trump was America first, really he was a different side of the deep state. He's teamed up with Peter Thiel, and they're pushing forward with some sort of an agenda for massive, tracking technology. And obviously, anyone who just went through COVID, we really don't like the idea of government knowing where we are at all times and doing this data surveillance, because they teased for a period of time, potentially not just having little easily fabricated COVID cards, but actually having health passports, which could mean tying you to things even like carbon consumption, meat consumption, really tracking everything that you're doing. And what can empower people like the elites of Bill Gates or otherwise to make profits while not actually doing anything that values the marketplace, but basically just stealing wealth from you and, charging you more for things that you are otherwise doing or consuming. So I understand the fears, and that also exists for digital currencies, which perhaps we could break down also. So I fully understand the fear of people not wanting government investing further and being able to track them, particularly if you saw some of the images of what was going on in China with the facial recognition technology during COVID and the check in the X system. It was absolutely frightening. So I'm curious of this storyline that's kind of making the rounds of that Donald Trump's a representative for Peter Thiel, and that government is starting to use this technology. I don't know. What side are you on this? And can you give us any details on what people are speculating?
Yeah, sure. Well, Peter Thiel, he's a brilliant man, and Palantir is a brilliant company run by Alex Karp, another brilliant guy. It's an AI company. And, what it does is Palantir will go in, it's got this Foundry software, and it will turn your company, pretty much only the government can afford it, or major financial institutions, defense contractors, et cetera. And they will get to know your business line, how your organization agency runs, and then they will teach you how to build proprietary tools, custom built AI for your business or agency. And so it was set up after 9/11. They wanted to catch terrorists, and I think
CIA funded, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, exactly. Its first client was the CIA. It was InQtel, which is the venture capital arm of the CIA. I think on a Reddit space, a Reddit AMA or something, Peter Thiel answered, people said, aren't you funded by the CIA or owned by the CIA? He says, no, the CIA, or no, aren't you a front for the CIA? And he says, no, the CIA is a front for Palantir. And so, it's a very cool company. And then with that said, the contracts it's getting, it's getting a lot of data from HHS, health data, IRS, your tax data and incomes, Treasury, et cetera. When you put all of these pieces together, you can understand why people would be leery, skeptical, or even afraid of one company having so much access to private citizen data, especially when you can put it all together. And one of the things that Palantir does is come up with threat assessments, of potential terrorists. But for people on the political right who have been labeled potential terrorists, the January 6 people, for example, locked up and thrown in jail. And, you can understand why people would not want one company to have so much control over, what and be able to label them a threat. And then, if they get labeled a threat of some kind, then all of a sudden all their tax data, health data, et cetera, is in that company's hands, and they can quickly upend your life. Imagine an audit, like an IRS audit, which people have said are terrible, terrible things to go through. Imagine that in just every facet of your life. It would be a nightmare. And so here's the problem: is like you would want something like Palantir in the hands of Trump if you're a Trump supporter. But what happens when the administration changes? These contracts are built to outlast and outlive any given administration. And so what happens when you've got all of these awesome tools and powerful AI in the hands of like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom? I mean, they will be able to rain holy hell down on their political opponents. And, people are right to be very wary of it. Because, a government or technology company big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you have. So, jury's out. We'll see. I mean, it may be good for now, and then it may not be so good.